Hi, everyone. Good day and welcome to another episode of Mind Your Business. This is my weekly video podcast in which we get to talk about business and we interview people sometimes so that we can glean from their own business experiences and even life experiences, learn from them, apply them to our own lives. What is possible? It's not everything that we can apply, but what works, we apply so that we can create wealth and impact people. Today, I have the opportunity to interview a very, very fabulous, phenomenal woman. Before I tell you who she is, let me tell you who I am, just in case this is your first time here. I am Alma Duncan. I am a corporate trainer, business coach, and founder of the Fabulous Woman Network. I am very passionate about seeing an Africa in which women in business are empowered to create wealth and impact people. Now to my guest for today's episode. Born Cornelia Opoku Gyemfi, she adopted the name NELIA, coined from her first name after an experience that she has come to believe birthed her into purpose. She believes that as daughters of God, our purpose is both individualized and collective. Everyone was put on the face of the earth at this time in history to fulfill a goal, an assignment that can only be done by that person, all while collectively, our purpose is providing an enabling environment to support each other to birth our purpose. Professionally, she holds a Bachelor of Laws degree and a Master of Laws in Maritime Law. Her career ambition is to be an international maritime lawyer. She loves to introduce herself as a woman who aspires to pursue and live out her God-ordained purpose and assignment unapologetically. She has devoted her life to reminding young women of faith, of their purpose, worth, and passion through the lenses of scriptures. She is a writer who has countless blog posts to her credit and recently launched her book, Being Phenomenal, a handbook for today's young Christian woman. She is also a speaker who inspires her audience through her lived experiences and realities, making them aware that no one is alone on this journey of life and faith. Being Phenomenal is a movement founded by NELIA, through which is committed to encouraging young Christian women to be confident in their ambition while growing their faith. Ladies and gentlemen, have a seat, get yourself a glass of water or perhaps a cuppa, because this is going to be amazing. Thank you so much, NELIA, for making time all the way from Canada to sit with me today for this interview.
Thank you.
And so I want to start by talking about your name. Your full name is Cornelia Opoku Gyemfi, but you've been using NELIA. I always knew you as NELIA, and then I realized, that is long for Cornelia.
Yeah.
What is the reason behind you shortening your name? I mean, I know we shorten our names, but there's a special reason to yours. So please tell us.
Thank you, Lady Amma, for having me. First of all, it's a pleasure to be here. I actually thought I was going to be the first person to interview you, the other way around. It's just how God works, I guess. So I'm really grateful to be here today to just chat with you. So my full name is actually Cornelia, like you rightly said. It's just that my mom likes giving 3 syllables names. And it was, first of all, it's just a lot. So growing up in a typical Ghanaian community, people would want to shorten the name and call you Kone or something of the sorts. And I didn't fancy that. I didn't like it because it's funny when they even try to translate it to the Chi dialects. Like that just means something very, very appalling. So when I was in the university, final year, about to go into my final year undergrad, I stood for the SLC Women's Commissioner.
Wow.
And I didn't win. I tried my best. That's when I knew that I didn't have it in me to do politics. I could do any other thing, but politics was just So after the elections were called and I hadn't won, I still felt this burden within me to still do what I knew God had called me to do, God had put me here to do. And so the following morning after the after the elections had been called, I downloaded WordPress, and I didn't know how to go about it. I just asked a friend who I knew had been blogging for a while. I'm like, how do I navigate this whole WordPress thing? And then she taught me. And as I started writing, the name that came to me at that time was NELIA. And so I went on ahead and I looked for the meaning of NELIA, because I kind of was coined from my full name, Cornelia. And NELIA actually means horn. And I'm like, this is a meaning that I like. Like it's good meaning. It's a good spin-off from my name. And I can now have control of people not calling me Cornelia. So that is the story behind why I choose to go with the name NELIA. Also because the 3 syllables name is just a mouthful. So
yes,
that is the main reason why I go with the name NELIA.
Fantastic. You know, I've been following you on social media for a while, since maybe 2018 or so. First of all, let me commend your consistency to your audience. I think you are serving them well. And so on that note, let's talk about the Phenomenal Woman. What is it about, and what inspired you to start?
So back to the SRC bit story, that was what inspired me to start. Because I had lost the election, I still felt I could serve the school community in a way. Mm-hmm. I still felt like my gifts and my talents were still going to be useful within the school community and beyond. And so I started the blog, which I call the Phenomenal Woman blog. And how I actually even got that name was actually also a mystery. I used to write poems to myself and notes to myself every now and then. And so one of the nights I was studying and I wrote a note to myself, and then I signed off, love, the phenomenal woman in you. So when I started blogging, that name just came back to me, the Phenomenal Woman. And that's how I started with the blog on Phenomenal Woman. But the whole essence of the Phenomenal Woman, as now I call it being phenomenal, is I grew up, my mom is a reverend minister. It's not something that I kind of lead conversations with. Because once you say that you're PK, it's a whole lot of expectations and things that people expect from you. So I don't really lead conversations with that. But it's relevant because I grew up in the church. I grew up really at the front line of the church. One of the things that I noticed growing up was that young women between like the ages of like after high school, university, before they get into marriage, it was just a very awkward moment in our lives, whereas like the church didn't really pay attention to our growth, both spiritually, financially, like just our holistic growth. It was like, you're a child and then you're an adult. Now, when you get into marriage, we can think about what you're going to do with your life. But then in between that space where you are not married and you're not really living off your parents, you just don't really know what to do with your life. And I figure that is probably not what God intends for us to do as young Christian women. God has a purpose for all of us, whether we're married, whether we're single, whether we're in our parent, like whatever space in which we find ourselves in, there is something that we can do that would serve humanity and that would also please God. And so that was the reason for which I started the Phenomenal Woman blog. And then it kind of spinned off into a network where people were like, now, we need to come for meetings and programs and stuff like that. So that has just been the beauty of the journey, where people in the church community just understood and resonated, like young women understood where I was coming from. And they also felt the same thing that I was feeling, that we don't have to be neglected. We also have a purpose in our singleness or in wherever we find ourselves. We still can pursue purpose, dependent or independent of the man, so to say. So that is really the whole gist about being phenomenal.
You just gave me my first goosebumps for today. It just came, and when I'm getting it, I know it's a positive vibe. Thank you. I really, as you were speaking, I was trying to think about that stage for me as well. And gosh, I could have really used a group like yours at that time. And so I really think that what you're doing is amazing. It is very, very important, especially I focus on women in business and all, but the women in our network are usually after 24, thereabouts. And yours is like, we need yours before people will come to the Fabulous Woman Network. They need that preparation. And I am so grateful that we have this connection, because what you're doing is so important. God bless you. So we are going to talk about your book shortly, but the Phenomenal, so now you've rebranded to Being Phenomenal. It's no more okay, excellent. tell me some of your activities and programs, because I bet there are people listening. They're like, mommy, listen, I need to be part of this. So tell me, what are some of the activities and all? Later, you will share how to reach you. But, what are some of the stuff you've been doing?
Okay, so for a while, about 2.5 years, when I was back home in Ghana, we used to hold breakfast meetings or brunch meetings. But right now, since I moved to Canada and also with COVID, it has just been difficult to put that together. But I'm looking forward to host that type of program, that type of meeting in the near future, like very soon. So we used to host, that's one of the things that we used to do, host breakfast meetings or conferences or seminars. Now, one of the things that we do constantly is that we host Instagram live sessions where we talk about diverse, just relevant situations and questions that bother us as young Christian women. I'm actually in the throes of dealing with the church's notion and perception about the sexuality of young Christian women. So those are the types of conversations that we have, like things that people don't talk about, but then it's really there. It's important that we talk about those things. So we do that through our Facebook live sessions, Instagram live sessions. I also have my weekly kind of short videos that I post out that I call light bulb moments. So light bulb moments is just when I go through the week, anything that strikes me, anything that I think about, it's not scripted. I actually just literally set up the camera and I just start speaking. And so that's what I call light bulb movement. And then we also have the blog, which is like a good resource for young Christian women. Like there's just so much material, so much content there that you would find concerning your identity, your purpose, just how to navigate certain periods in life. I'm also looking to start a monthly Bible character session because I find that a lot of the women in Bible, we think that they were actually calm and meek, but there were some crazy people in there as well that I feel like we can relate to in today's world, and we kind of just brush it aside, or we don't really, whenever we read it, we don't really go in depth to really understand the story behind these women. And so I'm just about to start a Bible study session where we are going to go in depth about biblical characters, especially feminine biblical characters, but then also make it relevant to our time and make it relevant to our lives personally. So those are the things that we do.
That is so beautiful. Gosh, I love what you said about some of the women in the Bible. I know we think they were all calm and, oh, yes, please. But some of them, so I love what it is that you're going to do. And I pray that it will be a success, like all your endeavors. And, so for the past few months or so, you've been celebrating one thing after the other. First, you completed law school. We were all like, congratulations. No, which one came first, the book or the law?
So I finished writing the book. And then when I was about to launch it in March, life just got really crazy for me. So I had to table that and then concentrate on completing my master's and then now pick up the book launch again.
Okay. So you've done the law school, congratulations. And then you've also written Being Phenomenal. We will talk about the book, I promise, but I'm curious because when you were graduating, there was this series of blog posts that you released that you and I had a conversation about. And for anyone who is interested, you can check out the full story on her blog. But I want you to just give us a summary of that experience and then the key lesson you gleaned from it.
Wow. So, like I shared, I had my undergrad education in Ghana, but after my undergrad education, I wanted to, I studied law. So I just obviously want to be a lawyer, but I couldn't go to the Ghana Law School at the time because of some issues that my institution in Ghana had, and they hadn't resolved those issues, and I couldn't apply to Ghana Law School. So then my next option was okay, so what then can I do? Which is to do a master's in law. So I applied to Canada. I applied to a couple of schools. Dalhousie University was the school that admitted me. And as I started the program, I submitted my provisional transcript and without my certificate, without my degree, which says that you have fully completed the program. But here's a first a testimony. they didn't state on my admission letter that my admission was conditional pending my certificate, because if they had stated that, I wouldn't be granted visa and I wouldn't be able to have studied. So it was when I got here, about 6 weeks into settling down in the program, which I was already late for. I was like 2-3 weeks late into coming to the program, and it's a master's in law. It's not senior high school where you're late for a month and then you can still catch up and yeah, that's fine. Everyone is just going like that. So when I came in and I was a bit late, it was just already disorienting for me. 6 weeks into the program, I get called or I get emails from the Faculty of Graduate Studies, which is like the big institution under which my graduate school fell, saying that, oh, by the way, we need to get your full admission documents because your file is still open for some reason and we need to put it aside. And at this point, I'm panicking. I'm like, I don't have this. Do I tell them the truth or do I stall? And I don't even know the status of this thing back home in school. So I tried to stall for about 3 weeks, but then they're still coming up at me like every now and then, every week. It's like, we need this, we need this, we need that. I went to the office one day. I told my dean, I'm like, look, I don't have this. I don't have this thing you're asking me for. This is the situation that I'm in. It's a sticky situation that I didn't put myself in, but then I'm just in it. I don't have the certificate. What are my options? And she says, well, I'm not sure what your options are, because she was also being held accountable because she admitted me as my dean. So then they were just pulling me, but they were also pulling her, because how do you admit a student that doesn't have a certificate? And then it gets to a point where at a point they even tell me that they are suspecting fraud because because my school back home in Ghana had made a mistake with my name and some of my grades, because the transcript that I sent initially was a provisional transcript, and then they asked for the actual final transcript. And when that transcript came, they noticed some inconsistencies on it. And so they said, okay, now we're actually been suspecting fraud. And it's kind of like fraud. You're going to be blacklisted if this is actually what they end up finding. So it was just a back and forth with my graduate studies and my dean and everything. And I was looking at being withdrawn from the program completely. And then being withdrawn from the program, I'm like, if I come back home to Ghana, what am I coming to do? I don't feel like I want to come to Ghana and go through that whole law school brouhaha right now. Staying in Canada is also going to be financially daunting because you're not in school. You can't even work because your visa is dependent on you working. It was just a whole lot. And if they sacked me from the school, what would be on my record that I was withdrawn? Why were you withdrawn? You need to explain. And secondly, if I wanted to come back into the program, I was going to have to start applying all over again. So they're going to put me in the pool with everyone else that was applying that year again. So it was just a lot of things. I remember going to my dean's office one day uninvited. And if you've ever schooled here, you know how that, like, you just can't appear in someone's office like that. And I just asked her what my options were. She says, I don't think that they're going to let you go. They're probably going to withdraw you from the program if you don't get this sorted out by January 18th. And my school back home in Ghana is still being very oblivious of the situation that I'm actually about to be sacked. They had to do several things that they didn't do. So I missed the January 18th deadline. But before the January 18th deadline, I knew that my school back home wasn't going to come through. I went to my dean. That's when I went to her and I asked her. I looked at the immigration rules. I'm a lawyer, so I had to go back. Look at the immigration rules and just try and get some loophole that I felt was going to favor me. So I got a loophole that said that you could take a leave of absence, but it was for up to a maximum of 150 days. After 150 days, if this whole thing hadn't gone away, I had to come back home. I had to come back home or find another institution. So I went to her, I'm like, you know what? You don't want me in this school, fine, but let me just go for this period. Let me sort out this thing out. If after the 150 days, I'm not able to sort this thing out, I will just leave. I won't even wait for you to come and sack me. I will just leave. And so she went and then she spoke on my behalf. And they said, okay, we're going to grant her the leave of absence. And that's how I was out of school for about, from January or December 2019 till September 2020. And just trying to sort this whole thing out and to get back into the program. So that's what happened. And yeah, getting back into the program was not also an easy ride, because at this time, my mind is like disoriented. I came into the program trying to really do my best, excited and everything. I get back in school in September 2020, and I am just like, okay, I just want to get this over and done with. I don't even feel like pulling my weight anymore. I'm tired of, because it was a battle. Like, it was actually a full-blown legal battle back home, and then me fighting the institutions here. Like, so it was emotionally and mentally and financially daunting. So when I go back into the program, there was this paper that I had to write 4 times because I had to write and rewrite a research paper. I had to write and rewrite 4 times before the professor passed me. There were 2 others that I had to rewrite twice before they just wouldn't let me just do the bare minimum and just go, because they're like, we've seen your previous work and we know why we admitted you, even though you didn't have all your certification and everything. We think you're just self-sabotaging, so to say. So we think you can do better. And that's how I ended up completing the program, which was a relief. At a point in time, I didn't think it was going to happen, because at every point in time since I started the program, at every point in time, there was something that was blocking me from completing the program. Even when I was just about 2 months away, there was something that came up that one of my professors told me, I think you should take the summer term. I don't think you'll make it. So at every point in time, there was something that made me feel like I wasn't going to go through. But some way, somehow I did. And I am just grateful to God for that. The lessons that I actually gleaned from this experience is that the first thing that this taught me was that, you know how sometimes the natural cause of things is that for your action, there is going to be a consequence. But I didn't do anything in this situation. I just went to a school in Ghana where I paid all my fees. I wrote all my exams, and I was just supposed to be awarded my certificate. But I was put in this situation because of someone else's negligence, someone else's not doing their job well. So sometimes I find that sometimes in life, you can be put in situations that it was through no fault of yours. People's actions or inactions can just make you victims. Yeah. And when you find yourself in that situation, it's even very difficult, because it's not you. If it were to be you, you could kind of take some of the blame, or you know how to navigate, or you know what to do about it. But in this situation, like, it wasn't me. Like, someone literally had the ropes, and they just did with it what they pleased at whatever point in time. And so when you go through that situation where it's not your fault, the only anchor that you really can get is God. God is the only one that knows that you are in this situation. I'm like, God, I don't know how I got into this sticky place, but I know that you know I am here, and that alone enough is good for me. Like, I know you're aware that I'm in this position. So even if I don't get to finish grad school, even if I don't get my certificate, I know some way, somehow you're going to make a way for me through some other things. The other thing that I noticed, or I learned from this experience, was that God will give us the grace to do things, but sometimes, or most of the time, actually, the grace is not enough. Sometimes you need to pull yourself. You have to put some skin in the game. You have to be resilient. You have to have some grit. You have to have some power, some strength. And sometimes if that power or that strength is just you waking up and breathing and drinking your water and going back to sleep, you have to do it. But just do not give up. Just sometimes we throw in the towel before we actually even start fighting. We throw in the towel before we lose the fight before we actually get in the ring. No, get in the ring. Just do everything that you can. God has already given you the grace. You just need to. And the thing is within you, the resilience, the willpower, it's just within you. You just have to tug at it some way, somehow, and just bring it to bear. And the final thing that I actually learned from this, because this has been like the most challenging mental exercise that I have ever done in my entire life, like having to write research papers back to back within a 10-week period across four different courses. So I was doing international environmental law, I was doing oil and gas, I was doing intellectual property, and I was doing research scholarship. And I had to write research papers for all these papers, all these courses within like a 10-week period. And I'm like, how am I going to do this? Because these are different areas, and you just had to kind of generate things like anew and fresh for all these things. So what that told me was that when they say that everything that you put your mind to, you can do it, you really can do it. Like this thing just taught me that whatever it is that you set your mind on, you just have to really set your mind on it. Because I set my mind that I am graduating this spring. Whatever it takes for me to graduate, I'm going to do it. So once you set your mind on something, that is just the thing that you need. And have a plan. You just don't set your mind and go and sleep. Like have a plan that you're going to work at and you'll be good.
Oh my goodness, NELIA, can I just say you are a phenomenal woman?
Thanks, Lydia.
This is beautiful, all the 4 things you've said. And you know what? The first one you said, when you said, God knows you are, like God is aware. It's like, God knows I am here. You know, that is such a beautiful statement. God knows I am here. Whatever you're going through, God knows you are there. Wherever you are, God knows you are there. And that is so beautiful. The knowledge for you as a person to know that, oh, he knows I'm here. It's like, go and sleep. He knows you are there. So don't worry. Whatever actions you need to take, just take it and trust that he is there. And I think as children of God, this is such a key thing for us to always remember. God knows I'm here. Wherever you are, God knows I am here. And that's all that matters. If he knows and he's our Father, there's no way he will watch us sink. You know, there is no way he will watch us in tears and miserable and he's like, he doesn't care, smoking some cigar or something. We don't serve that kind of Father. So thank you. That's so beautiful. And also, so now to your book. Congratulations. Congratulations. Let's raise it. Do you have a copy we can?
Yes, I do.
Yes, it's really, I mean, and I love it's so classy. I don't know if I reached out to you and told you when I saw the cover. I thought
you shared on your Facebook about the cover.
Okay, yeah. I love that. It's simple and really tasteful. And I'm sure it has very rich nuggets for young women, and actually not just young women. I know that whoever picks it up will be blessed. So tell us a bit about the book.
Okay, so this book I actually started writing in 2018. It's a small book because I intended for it to be. So I didn't want it to be one of those books where you get to the last page and you've forgotten what the first page said. I wanted it to be very practical. One of my mentors said that, when I read the book, I felt as if you were talking to me. And I'm like, that's actually what I was kind of going for. I wanted you to hear my opinion. But this book came up from my curiosity about the purpose and identity of the young Christian woman. Because being a young Christian woman, especially in higher education, you come across so many theories, especially some types of feminist theories that make you want to question your place in this world and your identity and everything. So I felt like we needed a manuscript. We needed something that would remind us or be insightful about our purpose and our identity in God as young Christian women, because the world is busy trying to propose ways in which we must operate, which I think is outside of God's ultimate purpose and ultimate plan for us. And I always use this analogy that if I entered whatever building, or Lady Amma, let's just say you were invited to speak at an event, and then you entered the room, you would know your seat. You would know where you were going to sit. And so you would not go and fight or tussle with someone else for their seat in that auditorium. Yeah. But I feel like we're in a place where we as young Christian women, or Christian women in general, do not particularly know our seat in the world. And so we are fighting with other people in the world, or fighting with men to try and take up some seats that is not ours. So this is like a reminder or an admonishment to, what, there is a reason for which God made you, and that reason has nothing to do with the man. It has nothing to do with you fighting with a man, or it has nothing to do with you competing with a man. On the contrary, God put both man and woman on the face of the earth to do the same thing, but with different tools. So it's like we are all farming, but then we have different tools to farm, because that is how we can complement each other, and that's how we can yield the results that God wants us to bring forth. So it doesn't make any sense trying to put my tools down and trying to go and get the tools that the other person is using because I feel like they are superior than me. And I feel like I need to operate like how they are operating to be relevant in today's world. And so that is like the whole essence of the book. I start by talking about the blueprint of womanhood. I take us all the way back to the Garden of Eden, where I share my perspective on the creation story and how things came to be. And I just try to debunk that whole idea that, and I've heard this in church several times, where it's said that the woman was an afterthought. And we know that when things are an afterthought, they are usually a shoddy work done or something of the sort. But I explained in the book that even let's just assume and agree that we are an afterthought. Me as a human being, if I were to write a next book, it was obviously going to be better than this book that I have written. So how much more the God who created the universe, if in any case he was going to do an afterthought work or anything, how much more was he not going to make that work or that creation more valuable or more intentional or just more sophisticated, a little bit sophisticated than the first one. So that whole idea that we are an afterthought, so we are a shoddy work done. No, we aren't a shoddy work done. God actually put in us everything that he didn't put in the man. And so that is where the complementing comes to play. I talk about the purpose of a woman. I talk about how we have the power of influence, because a lot of us young Christian women do not know that we have the power of influence. And those that know it are actually abusing it. And so how do we live in the consciousness that we have the power to influence our world and it's a power to influence everyone and everything around us, but do not take that power for granted or abuse that power? And I talk about the diversity of womanhood. I talk about, it was a lot. It's a lot in the book. So I don't want to give it all away.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. So those who are interested, I'm sure we're going to add the link to purchase it. Yeah. And then at the end as well, you tell us how to find you. But seriously, you are phenomenal. Like that word, it was God who revealed it to you to use the word for your ministry. You are phenomenal. And you are deep in the way you think and analyze things. I hope you know that.
I've been told.
No, but do you believe it? For us women, sometimes like, yeah, but it's hard for us. Like that too, I'm not judging you.
I think I'm getting to the point where I'm beginning to believe that I think I'm very analytical. I think that's just what I am. And I don't like to take things on the surface. And I feel like God made me God put me in the career of law for that reason, because in law, you have to look beyond the surface and try to make meaning out of the words that have been put there. So I think that, I'm aware that I'm very analytical.
That's good. I like that. Right. So before I let you go, I've got some short questions. Some questions you have to just fill in the blanks to those questions. So are you ready?
Yes, please.
Good. The first one is, if I could advise my younger self in one short sentence, I would say,
step out of your comfort zone, because believe it or not, I have not really always been outspoken. I was a very quiet child. My mom would tell you that when she used to take me to preschool, when she came back to pick me up and the teacher said that, maybe she spoke 5 words today, that was a milestone. Wow. I was very quiet to the extent that when you're graduating from preschool to kindergarten, that whole recital bit that they do and everything, no, I wasn't part. That's how quiet. That's how quiet and minding my business I was. My mom says that I always looked like I was pensive. I always looked like I was thinking about in being quiet. You couldn't tell what was going through my mind, but you could read that there's something going through my mind at the time. So when I got into this place of starting the Phenomenal Woman Network, now being phenomenal, stepping out of my comfort zone was really difficult, because I really would like to just be quiet and just keep to myself and I am an introvert. I'm still an introvert, but I just had to step out of my comfort zone and understand that it's okay. And it's fine, and you're not going to be judged for it. People are not going to. You would fumble, you would find your feet, but it's okay. Just try to step out of there, and then God has already equipped you. He's already given you the grace to run with this. You just have to understand that you need to step out of your comfort zone and do the thing that He has already equipped you to do.
Fantastic. The second one, I am fabulous because.
That's a difficult one. I try to think about that. I'm fabulous because there's just one of me.
There is just one of you, right? Perfect answer. And then the final one book that has greatly helped me in business and in your case in life is.
Okay, so since it's a business podcast, I'll go with a business book. And I would say that it's The Richest Man in Babylon, because I love reading, but I'm not one that loves reading like really technical stuff. So if you gave me a book about finance or business that was like very technical and you didn't really put it in like a story form or something like that, I would probably read it, but then it won't be exciting for me. But this particular book was written I just love how it was set, how the plot was just done, and how at the end of the day, I would find that I was committing some type of financial error or blunder at every chapter, or what I didn't have to do just through mirroring how the characters in the book had been put together. So that's one book that I really recommend to people out there. Oh, and the second one is this book by this Nigerian author, The Smart Money Woman. Yeah.
I knew that was what you were going to say. I love it too, because it also uses the story of the girl and her friend. Yes, I love it. Wow, thank you. My goodness, this has been a lovely interview, and I'm sure people are dying to know, where do we find the book? Where do we find NELIA? Please share.
Okay, so you could first of all send me a DM on Instagram or Facebook, Cornelia Gyemfi. You could go on my website and use the contact form. The website is rubysworth.com. You could also get the book on once you go on the website, the homepage, you'd find that there's a link that directs you to where you can buy the book. Then that's on Amazon. But if you wanted to buy the book and you were in Ghana, please reach out to me, because I have different vendors and I'm trying to still sort those ones out. So depending on where you are in Ghana, I can direct you to where you can buy the hard copy in Ghana. But if you wanted an e-version, you could go on Amazon, or if you are in the abroad and you get a hard copy of the book, you could also get it off Amazon.
Yeah, and you're also available for speaking engagements, correct?
Yes. I am available.
Once people reach out to you, then they get the opportunity. Fantastic. Thank you so much for making time for me. I believe it's probably morning in Canada right now.
Yes,
it's afternoon here. Thank you that I woke you up so early so we can do this. And thank you for everything. You're doing amazing. And I'm so happy that I am getting to be part of what it is that you're doing, following and learning from you as well. So
thank you, Lady Alma. Before we actually go, I also want to share that. So this interview is really dear to my heart for two reasons. The first reason is, like I shared in the beginning, I thought I was going to be the first person to interview you, but God beat me to it. The second thing is that I also have been following you, I think, since 2016. And in my mind, you're my mentor. Like, I don't know if you know. But in my mind, like, I really learn a lot from you. It would be amazing how the things that I learned from you, just how you actually even engage on social media, how you put things together, I just learned a lot from you. So I just want to say thank you for being yourself. Thank you for being authentic. Thank you for giving some of us the opportunity to just learn from the likes of you, and to know that we are on the right path in life. And just whenever we have any questions or whenever we are stuck in anywhere, we can just reach out and you just offer some insights and everything. Also, it's my birthday week. And
yes, I noticed.
Yeah, and I was actually down last week, or I forget the time in which you reached out to me about the interview, because last year my birthday didn't go so well, so I really wasn't looking forward to this particular birthday. God had a gift for me, and that gift has been this interview. So thank you so much for being discerning and just allowing God to use you to give to me in this birthday week. So thank you so much, Lady Amma. I appreciate you and I love you. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I love you too. Thank you. This is so beautiful. Thank you so much. There's the goosebumps. Yeah, flowing. Thank you so much. This was just so beautiful. I loved this interview with NELIA. I hope you've gleaned from it. 3 things I wrote. I mean, actually, I've learned a lot, but these were some of the points that really got to me, especially when she said, God knows, God is aware that I am here. So wherever you are, God is aware that you are there. I thought that was beautiful. When she also said we should put some skin in the game as Christians. Let's not just sit down and wait for God to do everything. You know, like God said to, was it Moses, what's that you have in your hand? There is something that you are holding that you have to do something with. Whatever, it doesn't matter how little it is, just do it, and then God is going to bless it, and His grace is going to just, look, you will blow, okay, whatever it is that God has put on your heart, you will blow. Have faith, put some skin in the game. And then she also mentioned that you can do whatever you put your mind to. I know we hear this all the time. It is not cliche. I have tried it so many times when I was lazy and I'm like, nah, it won't happen. It didn't happen. But when I put my mind to it, because God's grace is there, it will happen. So I have totally loved this. Share with me as well. What was this? What was the part of this interview that you really enjoyed? I was just getting goosebumps all over me. Anyway, so I have shared the link to find out more about Cornelia, get her book and all that. Please reach out to her and then just sow into her ministry, support her, follow her, and then also be blessed as well. Until I come your way again, God willing, next week, same time, right here on YouTube. It's Ta, and don't forget to subscribe.